that. And so one of the things that I wanted to do was just quickly get from each of you what you want to get out of today. So you're never going to get the next 4 hours of your life back. If there was one thing that you could get out of today that's a burning issue for you, a pain point, whatever it is, I'd love to hear it.
For me, I love to see people happy. I love it when people achieve their dream. I feel I'm part of them when they've achieved their dream. So I love to see people achieve their aim and their objectives.
So today, for the next 3 hours, which you're never going to get back, what do you want to get out of today's session?
Yeah, what I intend to get from here is how I can impact people's life. What's this lesson? What I'll achieve from this lesson that will make me impact people
so much. Impact, I can slap you and I've impacted you. So what does impact?
What do I have to give to you that will make something I would put in you for a lifetime?
Okay. Maybe develop them?
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, for me, recruitment is a major thing for me in so what I want to take out of today's forum is how to attract and retain talent, like actual talent that will be needed for the job.
Well, I've learned in HR that sometimes you have a very good hand, but there's something about that person that might not let you do that stuff on the job.
If they were born to a different set of people and they've been able to go to college, they would have networks to have gotten that first job to then get them on the right path. And so we find them and we say, we're going to provide those 4 things for you. We're going to give you the skills to the level that the workplace needs them. We're going to give you an academic credential of sorts. It's a sheet of paper that we print for 200 naira and photocopy and next to us. But it's a certificate, and over time it has become something of value in the market. We're going to give you some work experience, actually connecting you to job opportunities. And then we're going to be your personal network. You know, I have one of our guys who works at Baker. I remember when he first joined 4 years ago. It was from our first cohort, so almost 5 years ago. And because he's from Ajegunle, he would get a lot of gripe and occasion. People were like, better everybody hide your phone or hide your phone. So they may not normally have wanted to hire him because he had made assumptions about what part of town he was from and what that meant about his personality, his ability. But we stand in the gap for them and say, you know what, that guy, hands down, we have graduated over 2,000 young people in our programs. He is the top 10%. And he doesn't have a degree and he's from Ajegunle, and he may not look or sound the part, but he's been there 4 years, going on 5, and there's no complaints about it. And so that's the journey that we try to take young people on, and we've been trying to take young people on over the last 1.5 years. And we've reached 2,000 people directly through our academies, through partnering with governments and with other partners. We've reached another over 2,000 people. We've matched directly to entry-level jobs over 1,000 of those young people, and we've worked with over 200 employers. Some of our employers are in the room today. And most of them are small and growing businesses. And so we see our mission as two-sided. On the one hand, we are helping these young people get access to opportunity. But on the other hand, we're solving a very real pain point for a lot of employers who say, I don't have the time and the resources to go out and find these kinds of people. Help me find them. I don't want to interview 100 people. I want to interview 5 and find 1. And so we have 2 sets of clients. And it's been hard work. And we pat ourselves on the back for the progress we've made. But remember I said that the problem is 20 million in Nigeria alone. And we call ourselves West African Vocational Education. So the problem is actually 50 million that is keeping us up at night. So 2,000 is not actually even the size of people in my Iru local government that I was employed to. I've not even scratched Iru local government, let alone Alimosho, let alone Lagos, let alone Nigeria. So the problem is urgent and it's growing very fast. So every year, 11 million young people will enter the African workforce and they're not ready for work. So we realize that actually this whole pace of train 50 people this month, train 50 people next month, we'll die and we still wouldn't have reached 1 million. And so we started thinking a few years ago about how do we accelerate the amount of impact that we're able to have. If tomorrow I was able to wave a magic wand and somehow was able to find and train 1 million young people, like this young man called Paul, who I described, who works at Baker. If I could find 1 million Pauls and train them overnight, would I be able to match them to jobs? There are 1 million jobs. Today, if I literally found 1 million jobs, I know I can easily do that. There are a lot of us SMEs there are many jobs that were not even created because one, we're too stressed to try and bring somebody to start teaching them how to do that work. So we keep doing it ourselves. So there are actually many jobs within each of our businesses that are yet to be created if only we knew where we would find the right talent to get the job done. And then there are the actual jobs that we say, you know what, we're desperate right now, it's time to actually post it on job and we find somebody. So there are 1 million jobs. My question to you is, if we found 1 million Pauls who didn't have a university degree, who didn't have any work experience really when we met him, and we've trained them and we certify that yes, they're good, but I put them in front of the average employer, do you think that those 1 million people will get access to the 1 million opportunities? Do you think that they would? You as an employer, you know how you screen people. You know what you look for when you look at a CV. Do you think that those 1 million people who look like Paul in terms of credentials, none, besides a secondary education, from a not so good school, do you think he would get a chance? If we're honest about what we're looking for. And so that got us thinking that, wait, even if we keep training people, and even if we keep working with each of you employers one by one to put a poll in your organization to start to change your attitude around how you see these kinds of people, we'll still not get there before we die. And so we needed to rapidly ramp up this changing behavior. We know that every one of us knows somebody who was not qualified for the job. But they got in somehow, and they are knocking it out of the park, as you would say. They are delivering and over-delivering on that role, even though they didn't look the part. They didn't have the right degree. Maybe they didn't even have a degree, but they definitely had the right degree. They maybe were a third class. They didn't know anybody. They hadn't even done the work before. And somehow they got in, and they just kept going. So we all know that person, but yet we don't want to take that risk when it comes to how we hire people. And so we got together with the Ford Foundation and with some other organizations and said, let's start to have these conversations. So what is the conversation? So we actually wanted it to be a small group so that it can be a conversation. And I hate conversations where everybody's sitting this way, because that's not really a conversation. And that's why you're all kind of leaning it this way now, because you start to see that actually it's a conversation. And we want to start to understand, what can we do differently? To one, at the end of the day, what's in it for me? I can't be here just to help a nice young Paul, to help him there. I have to get results in my business. So one, how do I find the right and the best talent for me? By actually doing something that is counterintuitive, by actually being more inclusive, I get to find the right talent. So imagine that the right talent is here. I love my sticks for people that can't draw for crap. Nice visual. So there are 5, let's assume these are 5 million people, but we're just going to represent them with 5. The best is in here somewhere, right? In these 5. What we currently do is we use these proxies to say, you know what, I think I want somebody who has this, who has some experience, who has a relevant degree, who, kind of has done the work before, who comes to some level of something that I can use to tell me if this person might be able to do the work. And so what we do is we use those proxies and we select these people. And we say, okay, now I'm going to interview you because I can't interview all 5 million. I can only interview 2 million. I'm going to invite these people, and then from there, I'll find the best. However, this guy right here might be the best, but you miss out on him. And so how do we start having very practical conversations about how we can change that behavior, how we can change that attitude, but also get the best talent. So I'm not compromising by being more inclusive, I'm actually going to get the best talent. And in the West, when they talk about inclusion, they're talking about black people, they're talking about women, they're talking about people who don't fit the traditional mold. Yeah, we're all black, so that's not the point. Yeah, ethnicity, some people care about, hiring fellow tribe members, but less of an issue. Here, what inclusion actually means for us is how do we get the right set of people who come from different backgrounds but actually bring some richness to how we get our work done. And so that's sort of what we are here to do. To learn about 1, how do you currently hire and why? 2, introduce what we have learned in our short amount of time around what works. We surveyed employers globally. We surveyed 223 employers globally from different continents. We've surveyed local employers, almost 400 of them. We personally have worked with over 200 of them for the last 5 years. And to say, look, this is what we've noticed about what people are doing. Is it getting them better results? Is it getting them the same results? Is it getting them worse results? And so what can we do differently? So we don't want to leave you with wouldn't it be nice to just do that? No, we want to say on Monday morning, you know what you're going to do differently to start getting the better results. And those better results will mean that you will now grow your business. You will now create those jobs that you have been hiding in your pocket because you have been so frustrated. And there will be more jobs, there will be more people to match those jobs. And somehow we'll wake up and the world will be a better place. So that's kind of the story that we're telling ourselves. Keep us excited about the work. And so, we will definitely address a lot of these issues, but I just wanted to paint the pie in the sky, why we're here, why Ford Foundation is supporting us, why we do what we're doing, why we're going to ask you these questions and get some data from you, because at the end of the day, after this day and challenging some of your thinking around how you hire, we would like to check in with you in 3 months to see, hey, did anything change? When you were hiring that next person in the next 3 to 6 months, did you think differently about the candidates that you saw? Did you think differently about your process and how you were going to find the best person? And if you did, what was the outcome? Did it work? Did it not? So this is just the beginning of that conversation that we hope to continue for a while. So are there any questions? Anything that I left out? So we can take our tea break and then come back and actually dive into the session. So what we had initially planned to do was say, look, there are probably some people in the room who aren't really worried about finding people. You are able to find the best people in Lagos, you're able to attract them, you're able to screen them and get them in. But your problem is keeping them, weeding out the bad things from them, and all of that. And so that's why we have the 2 sessions. We were initially going to run them in parallel, but given that we are a small group, I think that it's possible for us to run them consecutively. So spend about 45 minutes talking about what we have learned about how to find talent, different working ways, and then spend the second part talking about what we have learned in our experience of how to keep them motivated. We'll be the first to put a disclaimer and say, look, we're not claiming that we have found the best talent in the world, and we're also not claiming that we have found a way to retain them better than anyone else. But at least from the employers that we have worked with, this is what we see that works and helps. And we'll have a conversation about it. Great. Thank you guys.
Primary agenda is really to get as many young, disadvantaged, typically excluded youth into work. So that's like the big thing for us. So all of our youth work is really kind of focused on dealing with some of the barriers that prevent young people, who leave education and training system from getting into employment. And typically these would be young people who receive technical training, outside of the formal education system, but also young people who receive technical training in the formal education system. I imagine that as people who are employers of labor, you constantly come across young people who you can see from just having conversations with them in the interview that they have high potential, but they're not presenting themselves well enough, when you're convincing them to be able to secure the opportunity. And so when you think about, those young people who manage to get in front of you relative to those young people who don't get in front of you at all because there are other entry barriers that kind of prevent it. For example, Nissan is a big advocate against the idea of using degrees as a primary proxy because for some of these kind of lower level, middle level jobs, you don't necessarily need a degree to be able to secure those jobs. And I understand the dilemma from a HR perspective or from an employer's perspective is that you want to use a proxy that weeds out all the not so good applications or all the not so good applicants so that you don't end up with hundreds or thousands of applications that are basically time wasters. So for us the thinking is how can you do this in a way that helps you to save time and resources, but also helps you to make sure that you're actually getting the right talent for your organizations. So this work is really to kind of get stakeholders in the employment space, but also stakeholders in the education space to think together about how can we focus on competency as a primary thing for both training and for recruitment purposes. And so we, as Ford Foundation, we engage with the National Board for Technical Education, really looking at the skills qualifications framework as the kind of the primary vehicle to look at competency-focused training. That's a key thing to look for. And so they are advancing that, their work in terms of the qualifications framework and looking at how to get more training institutions to be more focused on competency, both in terms of the training process and in terms of the assessment processes. So this will be something that I think will be useful. And then from an employer's perspective, it would be how do you get to the point where your primary proxy is looking at what types of competencies people are able to demonstrate rather than what kind of credentials they are able to show. We know that around 75% of the kids who apply to enter higher education will not be able to because of many reasons, including the fact that there are not enough places there for them, for everyone who's applying. And so we would always have a situation where people would be unable to show those credentials. But if the person can do the job, if they can be, a good salesperson, they can be a good marketing person, they can be a good waiter or waitress, how can we think about ways of being able to kind of identify who that person is without using proxies that exclude them. And so when I look at the global landscape, I think there are two things that strike me as interesting. One is the growing interest from a HR perspective on inclusive hiring, which in a sense is linked to the questions about diversity. So with diversity, there's been conversations about including more women, including people with disabilities, including people from indigenous communities, but also looking from the wider perspective, looking at people who would typically be excluded as a result of their position in society. And so young people would be one of those. And I think in the literature on inclusive hiring, there's some conversation about bias, which is the fact that just because someone is young, there's a certain way that they are taught about. Right? Yesterday I went to a conversation where they were talking about unemployability as a big challenge. I imagine that because a lot of you guys, you review CVs, you see applications, it gets to a point where people kind of just develop unintended bias, and say these young people, they're lazy, they're unserious, and if they're unfortunate to be from a part of the country where the young people from that part of the country are perceived to be that way, then it just kind of builds onto that bias. And so I guess one of the things would be to be kind of more deliberate about dealing with our own pre-existing biases in reviewing applications and being more deliberate about how can we identify potential and take potential on and support individuals in growing jobs. And then the other concept that has come up, in that body of work is also the idea of impact hiring, which kind of deals with the question of inclusion from a youth perspective and looks at how do you, find ways to get more young people in, support them to grow in the organization, through a range of possibilities, including mentorship. So, not to talk for very long, I think Ford Foundation is in on this because we see that for the groups that we serve, if we are successful with being able to advance an idea that resembles inclusive or impact hiring, in Nigeria, we will be moving gradually towards a more competency-focused way of identifying and absorbing talent. And I've said to Nissan many times, I think that there's a business case here. It's a win-win for everyone. It's a win-win in the sense that, I know that a lot of your companies are maybe smaller companies, but for bigger companies, that operate in certain parts of the country, there's always a question of community quota, and so you want to do community quota in a way that is meaningful. You don't want to have community quota with someone with a bad attitude and who comes and steals things from your company, right? So from that perspective, you want to hire in a way that allows you to take in someone who has potential, who has the right attitude, who has competency, even if they don't have the credential to show. So from that perspective, there's a business case to be made here. From an SME perspective, I also think that it's a win-win because you become recognized as a socially responsible business without necessarily needing to have a big CSR budget. So there's a case to be made here, and of course those young people get jobs, they get opportunities to support themselves. And then from the bigger perspective, a lot of the conflicts that we have, particularly in the Niger Delta, actually originated from this question of unemployment but linked to community quota, because increasingly, a lot of young people became disgruntled and unhappy because you see all these oil company staff who ride in SUVs and live in the community, and people in the community don't have work. And so in a sense, when you look at the bigger picture, a lot of the young people who are typically available to cause violence are the young people that are typically excluded. Young people who don't have enough education, young people who have skills but don't have any paper to show. And so, if we are strategic in the way that we hire and we are able to get these young people in, we will reduce the number of people who will be on the streets and are likely to disrupt even our small businesses. So, too much talk already.
No.
Thanks for coming to the Ford Foundation office, and we're really keen on having you all on board. I'm on board on this, and really keen on having as many people as possible on board, to see if we can build a solid movement of, employers who are keen on pursuing the track of impact or inclusive hiring to swell the ranks of young people who will be able to get jobs simply on the basis of the competencies that we have to offer. So, thanks very much.
What do you think the biggest challenge will be in changing employer behavior?
What the biggest challenge will be? I guess it will be to, from where I stand, I think it will be to deal with existing prejudices about young people's abilities. I think people, I said it already, that people kind of come with this mindset that young people are serious, unable to work, uncommitted, can't show leadership, don't have competencies to do certain things. And so that would be, I think, the biggest challenge. There's a paper that I was reading earlier about HRMs that talks about, employer bias, in a sense, because there's a history of badly behaved young people or young people who are unable to demonstrate competencies. I think that would be kind of the biggest thing to deal with. And so for organizations like WAVE, Employment Clinic, and the guys that are doing this type of work, your thing would be to kind of demonstrate to employers that when people have passed through this period of incubation and support, they are able to actually stay on the job, and stay for longer periods of time.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Thanks, thank you. We are just upstairs. If you need us for anything, please holler.
Thank you. so very quickly before Toluwani comes on, we just wanted to do a very quick exercise. And just to also add that we'll probably take 15-20 minutes at the end to just kind of have almost like an HR clinic, because at lunchtime we kind of had people opening up about some of the real issues that are really getting at them, and some of them are things that we can all learn from. And so kind of just a time for sharing, like, this is really a specific issue I'm facing. I want to hire someone, but they seem to be like a flighty person and they won't need to stay for a year. How do I think about assessing that? Or, oh, we recently changed direction and we're aiming after bigger things, and I'm not sure that I have the right team that can help me get there. So there, any issues that people have, we'll probably save like 15 minutes at the end to just talk frankly and structured about those things. Very quickly, we've heard some people talk about selection and how we want to find the right people, and that's the session that Toluwani is going to come and run. And then we've talked about culture. And so Santo's going to come and talk a bit about that as well, and they both kind of touch on several things. And then there's something around systems, right? Putting in the right systems to enforce certain things. In your experience, how important would you say each of those three things are? So if you had to put a percentage to it, and you can only spend 100%, and you want to get to, I don't know what you got your in heaven, whatever, just bliss where you are running your organization and everything is working and everybody's aligned and we're all in sync and we're just crushing it because we are focused on the mission and what we're doing. How much time and effort do you allocate to these three areas? So time, money, resources, everything. How important would you say these are? Is it 33%, 33%, 33%? Is it 10, 50, 100? When it comes to, if I just get the right person, some people believe that that's 90%. If I just spend my time getting the right person, just like in marriage, if I just spend my time finding the right partner, then everything else will take care of itself. Other people believe, no, it's the culture. If I just set the right culture in my home, whether I marry the wrong man, once I come to my house, we know that this is how we do here and we have to align. Same thing with the organization. Once I set the culture, we're talking about someone in the organization who comes in late, who damages work materials, and if we spend time on the culture and you just know this is not, there's a place that when you come in at 8:01, by the time you see that everybody has been here since 7:30, you that come at 8:01, you will go through the back door, you will just, whereas the other places that the culture is, then you can come at 9:30, everybody's going to bat at 9:30. So some people believe that if I make my culture so strong, within 1 week, if you are the wrong fit, you just, in fact, when I'm doing interview, you see how people are working out. Yes, sir. Hello, guy. That's not my culture. I don't do all that normal stuff. So let me just not. So other people believe that it's the systems. We put the systems in place so that it doesn't even rely on the culture and how the people are feeling. Because you may have 10 people that started the team and that was our culture. A year later, maybe those 10 people have, 5 years later, maybe those 10 people have moved on. And it's the systems that you have put in place and make sure that even those 10 people that have left, we still have systems to preserve the culture. We still have systems to preserve how we let people into the organization. So I've explained a bit of each of the three. I'm just trying to get a sense of how important people think each of these are. So you can throw out your own percentage. It's always to do business. You just throw out what you think your answer is and why. So, so are you saying 33, 33, 33? Yeah, that's what I think. So you are saying 33%? 33%. And why do you think they are all equally important? Yes, they are all important, but why do you think they are all equally important? So we can make it that well. Why do you think they are all equally important?
I think the systems and culture, like influences, hopefully influence people. That's my opinion. That's what I think.
Okay. How many people agree with Anika and will go with her answer? The third. Okay. We'll go to anyone else in the room. Anybody who thinks it's the third. Me? You also think it's a third?
Yes.
Why? You've been in HR for years.
I
Everything is important, actually.
Yeah, but something that might about that someone can be one
I think it's interconnected. So it's intertwined. So if you get the right person and you don't have the right culture, the right person will be frustrated out of the system because it won't. There is something of acculturation, so you won't be able to fit into the culture. So the person will naturally exit or will be planning an exit strategy. So systems are very important because even if you have the right person and you have the right culture, because by virtue of who we are as human beings, we need to put structures in place to be able to enforce or initiate some form of behaviors. So I think the third
equally important.
they are equally important.
Okay, who thinks different? Busy?
Yes, I think differently. For me, the system. The system, because yes,
Is the most important.
it's the most important.
How about that 90%?
The system, in the sense that whatever we are employing, whatever they see needs in the organization, is a trend they will also follow. And that will take me to my selection. So after selecting who I want for the job, the culture that we have, they will definitely follow suit. They have to. So whatever trend that they meet us follow is what they will also follow.
So, give me numbers.
So for me, system 70.
Okay, 70%. Then, culture.
Culture 50.
No, they have that. So, you only have, you want to revise it. You only have 30% to share with you this.
Okay, let me minimize that.
Okay, so what is this now? 50%, okay. Then what are you giving this to? 25, 25?
Yes.
I just put it in your mouth.
Okay, let's put the selection for 20 culture testing.
20%. Culture is a bit more important, 30%. Who agrees with this? Could we see what's your last name?
Actually,
Shadi, you agree with this? Why?
Like she said, the system is key. But like the culture, to me, I would say the culture and the system, they are like all the same. Because the culture and the system determines what the person becomes. In selection, as long as you have 50% of what you want, and the person comes into the system, you find out that, like you said, if you come to an organization like Resume 8, and when you come in at 8 o'clock on the dot and you see that everybody is already settled for work, I'm sure tomorrow you won't come at 8, you come at 7:30. Then the culture, it begins to mold you. And so during your selection process.
But what if Shadi, I'll push you there? So that's the culture, right? I came in and everybody's there at they're already, on tea break at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
What if I just don't give a ish? And I will still come tomorrow, I'll still be coming at 8:40. All of you will be there.
Of time.
What I'm saying is,
You'll be flushed out.
so that part is the system's part. The culture was, I got there and everybody's there. The system is after a month or two and we do performance reviews. And the first thing that is flagged is punctuality. And punctuality is our core value number 1. The system will flush you out. So just wanted to be very clear that culture and systems are different. System is one that by force, you cannot get past this gate. So now that we have articulated that, are you still with BC on systems, 50, culture, 30, selection?
I'd rather say culture 40, system 40.
Okay. And so that's 20 left here. Okay, any other additions contrary to this?
I would go with the first 30%, but I believe there is no fixed ratio. I mean, it varies based on company. I really varies based on.
So tomorrow you are setting your own company, Ruben.
Yes.
What are you going to? That's what
I will give more to the culture. I will give more to the culture.
So are you here, or are you here, or are you on a different level? 40% to the culture.
40% to the culture, selection and systems equal.
Okay, so that was
So that's
30-30.
30-30, yeah, 30
Okay.
Because I believe the right culture is if your culture is really strong enough, almost anybody will key into it. So,
So we get here and we just notice that nobody steals, but there's no CCTV camera. But I just noticed that nobody steals. Everybody just take the money, puts it in the till, nobody steals. But there's no camera, there's no way to record the cash that was collected. Culture, system.
we have 30% for systems. And we also have 30% for selection. So you would have selected the right person in the first place. But in case you didn't do that, and the person comes to that culture and believe it has a way of influencing the person, then if that doesn't work, you have a 30% for systems. Young man, you can't do that out of it.
Got it. Anybody that has anything wildly different from any of the options on the board? Okay, so we'll take the final vote. Everybody do. Who's going with Anika's? They're all equally important. They're all 1A, 1A, 1A. It could be Anika, you're not going to So we have 3 people here. Okay, then who's going for the 20, 30, 50? Everybody in the room is participating. We can do that. 20, 30, 50? Missy? Toby's your hand up now?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's still just Missy, Lone Ranger. Who's going for 20, 40, 40? So that, Shade, 2, 3. Who's going for 30, 40, 30? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I think Ruben is right. There is no particularly right answer. But the person that introduced me to this thing, who's a professor of talent and all of that, over there, not necessarily that will work here. But her own view is actually that this is 15%. This is 40%. And this is 45. So you come in, doesn't matter if you are just a ne'er-do-well, a rogue, you steal every day, but when you get there and you see cameras all around you, you see that there's no, it's even a cashless system. They pay through mobile payments, they don't touch the cash. You get there and everybody is there on time. You get there and there's no such thing as, and that's not my job. Everybody like, no, you do it, everybody all hands on deck, whatever needs to get done. That's the culture. And you fall in line. Because after a while you stop. You can be fake for a while, but after a while, like, one day you just forget yourself and just shout for somebody. And you are not there. Oh, we are a very friendly culture, we don't swear here. Oh, yes. So eventually, the person will have to leave or fall in line. So just to put it in context, that we spend a lot of time thinking about selection, and it is critical to get it right. But at the end of the day, when things are not working out, it's not because we selected the wrong person. It's only 15% of the problem that you selected the wrong person. It's not that it is within your control. They don't determine the culture you do. They don't determine the system you do. Why do they keep stealing? Why is this bad man stealing? He's so great. Put a system in place that he doesn't touch cash. Put a system in place where every drink is measured. You put a line after he pours a shot so he cannot be drinking the alcohol in the back door. I like it because it's empowering. It shows that we, the employers, have a lot of control and influence on the outcome. So I'll leave it at that and pass it over to you. You have a question?
Yes, just one quick question so that you can verify. I mean, the culture is built by the people that are there. So when we couch it as the organization has built the culture that people come into, the organization is the people that exist within that space. So yes, it's the selection of the people that I have brought in that builds the culture that exists, even if I get to the systems.
So how does that begin to make sense? To say, okay, yes, the selection doesn't matter, but I'm a company of 10, but and those 10 people define my culture, right? So you begin to say that, because it's an everyday life, right? It's the systems that you can document and put all of those processes in place, but the culture is something that you live out on a daily basis. I will all hands on deck, all this on that. If 60% of the people that you have in a company of 10 who don't fit in there, then how does the culture begin to address that issue?
The system addresses it. The system kicks them out. So how did we build the culture when we're 2 people and we're there fetching water? If there's no water in the building, we fetch water. We don't say, oh, go and send somebody there. All hands on deck. We started with the culture of, people say, what's the job description? I said, look, I don't have time to write job description. If you find time in the next 6 weeks, I don't know when you find it. If you find the time at 2 a.m. to write your job description, you can. But just not every day, you keep on adding bullet points to it. Because your job description is just do whatever needs to get done. That's our culture. Don't say, oh, pay me extra. I'm going to do what needs to get done. That's your job description. There's no resumption time, there's no closing time because we do the work. If you finish at 2, God bless you. If you finish at 2 a.m., what happened? So you set the culture in the beginning from the very first person that starts that organization to the second person, to what you allow the second person to do, to what the 2 of you allow the third person to do, to what the 3 of you allow the 4th person to do. And you start building the system where you now say, okay, this is our culture, we like this part, so this other part, you know what? It's not working so much anymore. That whole open at any time, close anytime, it's not working so much. So we're going to change the bit and put a new system. Oh, that whole anybody's job is there, it means that some people are faffing around and don't really have a job. We're going to put the job description and make it very tight. You then set the system that decides who stays, who goes, who preserves the culture that we want. So you call it, they say the 3 R's. The behavior that you recognize, you then reward it. And then by rewarding it, you reinforce it. And then it goes round and round and round. So when I see you doing the job beyond your description, and I recognize it and say, I really appreciate that you took the time to do blah, 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 and I reward it in some form, it may be in your annual performance review, etc. I then reinforce that behavior because you're going to be like, oh, actually, this is a place that actually recognizes and rewards me when I do X, so I'm going to keep doing X. And then it goes round and round. So yes, the culture is the people, but it's a system, and that's why at the end of the day, that's 45%. Because if you don't have those systems, the people that are there will influence the culture. There were 10 of you before, but all of a sudden we had to hire 50 people on the same day. The 50 have now come with their new culture.
A program that basically focuses on the experience of founders and companies. And one very important thing that we report was that the culture is highly dependent on the personality of whoever started the company. And so, like as HR managers, all you're basically doing is basically working with the culture that whoever started the company is already developed or already indirectly or indirectly created. And then you are just propagating the culture within the organization. That's something like that.
Just to add something, there's a saying in the HR circle that culture eats strategy for breakfast. And just as she said, it's a big challenge for HR managers, real professional HR people. There are people who are in HR that they just want to get by, not necessarily because they're passionate about the profession. So for those who are passionate about the profession, sometimes when they get into systems that are not working, maybe they feel there are a lot of things that are done unprofessionally. One of the things we've been advised to do is you try to talk the founder into understanding why those things are necessary. And oftentimes it's always good to document whatever you're saying because litigation issues are there, national industrial courts are promulgating laws every now and then that we have to keep abreast of. So, and sometimes HR managers can get frustrated out of the system. So, there was this event that was held at the zone for senior HR professionals. And one of the takeaways from that event is, as HR professionals, if you feel that your efforts are being frustrated, because at the end of the day, it still comes back to your office. But people will say, is there not an HR person in that organization? So your advice is either you start looking for the way out.
Systems.
Yes,
Or
yes.
you document.
Yeah, exactly. So, and you have to always document those things. If your MD can say, okay, fire that person, and then you say, no, this is not right. There has to be processes. We need to do a disciplinary committee. We need to have policies. We need to, just oppose the offense with the penalty and all of that. But my MD says, was it your money I used to fund this organization? So you understand. So at that point, so you need to document it and to make those stats. At the end of the day, when push comes to shove, you have something to watch your back. It's always very important.
Very helpful. I think it's a challenge for the earlier stage organizations to document. I know for our first 3-4 years, we're just really doing to even write. Like, can we just make it through the next month of payroll? It's hard, but of course, you owe it to yourself to say, look, at some point, if we don't document it and start reinforcing it, then people will take over. The culture will, you are only one person. You cannot divide yourself into 10 and start spreading the culture in conversations, in meetings, in different cities as you expand. You have to document it. So yeah, thank you for that. Any other inputs to this conversation? Okay, segues nicely into Toluwane's select, find, attract.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Toluwane and I work with the Career Service Department at WAVE. This one has already set the ball rolling, but this session is just to understand how we attract the right talent. And it is activity based, okay? So we need to understand from everybody's point of view, how do you attract the talent in your organization? So that is what we are going to do today. We can't say your processes are wrong. We learn from each other every day, and then we try to tweak it to make it better, so that we have people that are compatible with our organization, and then they stay for a longer period of time, and then we have the best work done. So I will ask this question. I want you to think deeply. In the next 3 to 6 months, what would you say would be your critical eye? What is your critical eye? What goal would you say you have to feel that your organization cannot do without? And I want you to classify it in these 3 roles, either the high or the low or the medium complexity roles. So I'll just explain it briefly, what the low complexity role, what the medium, and I'll start from the low. So we said the low, we have the simple. We said the low roles are the simple work roles. Probably the cleaners, they don't need any high expertise to think about what to do when it comes to their job. So we have the kitchen assistants, we have the cleaners, and then
the roles kind of look the same every day, right?
The same every day. There are no changes. For the medium roles, they have like somewhat little bit of advancement when it comes to the roles that they do every day, and so they have like a medium way of expertise, technical expertise. Need to know some little things, maybe your Excel, your Word, and little other things. For the high roles, there are lots of variations. So you come in today, there's something totally different, and then you come in tomorrow and they expect you to do this, and then I will classify it into the managerial roles, supervisory roles, the HR roles, the administrative roles. What are those roles that you have in the organization now? The vacancies that you feel you need. Sorry?
Yeah, I have a vacancy. Okay,
Okay,
I thought
more
it's
than one.
Okay.
Sorry. So it is an activity that I want you to think about now. So individually, please think about it, and then let's put it down. Okay, so we just have our books, put down these roles, and then we pair up. So I'll give you like 3 minutes to think about it, and then we pair up to decide and know which roles we have in our organization. So not necessarily now, the next, okay, even if it's not within the next 3 to 6 months, we can do the next one year. What are these rules, these critical rules that you have to fill, and your organization cannot do without? So you cannot run without a manager, you can't run whatever this role is. Let's just think about it.
What online employer or HR person?
Somebody who's joining your team, the next person who's joining your team. So you may not be the one hiring them, but you need this on your team next. The most critical person that needs to join your team in the next 3 to 6 months. And then if we can, you now know if it's low, medium, or high based on her explanation. So high complexity roles, there's some variation there. It's not that every day is the same, and it's not very simple. It's complex. Things change. Things that require you to think on your feet, and it's never the same. Medium, kind of the same, kind of medium way of complexity, medium level of simplicity. And then low complexity, it's fairly standard. I can do it with my eyes closed, I can do it in my sleep. It does not need to change much. So how many of you is your next role?
Yes, so are we done? Are we meeting out this role? Yes.
How many is it, a high versus a
So if you have a high, can I see you just wave? The high?
high complexity?
High complexity. Yeah.
Or yours is medium?
Yes.
Okay, so if you have a medium, let's see the medium.
I have all three.
You have
But there are roles that we're trying to build a talent pipeline for, but it's not that they are compulsory to be filled.
Okay.
We still have people occupying those roles because at this stage in our organization, we're trying to build succession planning.
Okay.
So that's very critical for us. So we also have those roles at the back of our minds too, that we are to fill, but it's not that they are pressing for us.
Okay, but out of the roles that you have to fill, which one would you say that all of them
Yeah,
have to fill this
exactly,
out?
just one.
Just one.
Is it a high?
Medium, or low?
Let's say
Medium.
medium to high.
It's still not sure. They can form 2, 3 groups?
Yeah.
3 groups. So those who are high, their setting is high, and those who are medium/high.
Okay, so can we have the high? So we can just form a group.
What's the what side of the ball should be high scale? In the front?
We're going 2 groups.
2.
If we don't have
Or
any roles
three
at
groups,
all,
three groups.
any critical
Can you
high,
guys
can we see?
So everybody-
any critical high?
So, what's the difference in this? You know the person. So, for me, this is 2 minutes. 1 minute. Yeah, but I'm not know your
Let's make it we have 4. Let's talk 2. Let's take 2.
It's a 1 minute.
We are yet to decide on which 2 to go for. So you give us more time.
No. Alright.
2 cities and 1
Okay. All of you guys.
So give us 3 more.
No.
Okay, can we just talk?
Why not?
Yes, we can just talk and then we can go.
Just talk.
Just so right where it goes.
Guys, one house, Toby's team, one house. Toby's team, one house.
All right, we're talking.
Sorry.
Okay, so we're in the tech group, and basically all of us here are looking to hire a project manager. They're looking to hire.
A tech person.
They're looking to hire.
And the person has worked there for 3 years now. So also that seems like somebody that I would look to interview or hire for some of the things I'm working on right now.
Okay, just ask one question. If you were to hire for certain competencies for this role here, what are the competencies you would look for?
Sometimes I look at the degree, but that necessarily doesn't really matter. Relevant work experience is very
Think of competency as an ability to do something. Like a competency is you can code. Competency is you can sell. So what competencies are required for this tech role? Is it math? Is it C++? Is it willingness to learn? Is it I'm a good talker?
So for me, what I look for in talent is willingness to learn. As long as you have like basic skills and you basically understand the basic terminology, I feel like every other thing can be teachable. I mean, if you're willing to learn.
So if you guys have to agree on one, the most important competency, could you all agree on that, or is there some other one that you think is most important to learn? Second most important.
The second most important to me would be your ability to because of what we do more of building out stuff. So you need to be technically inclined.
So in terms of what language, I think you're trying to define the type of language. Are you looking for
No, generally, that's why I said second, because the person has to be willing to learn, right? Has to be. So even if you really don't understand what we do, that's where you're willing to learn from. But if you have these things to understand the language of tech.
So technical, technology savvy?
Yes, not just technology savvy, I think you need to have a bedrock of technical foundation, just a bit of like a foundation, because we're looking for high level, what do you call it? Expertise. So you don't come in very smart and we ask you,
What is good?
and you like, let me Google it or something, that's not smart, you take us down.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's have our team sales.
Let's get up in bed. I didn't need the same work.
So then, sorry, candidate 4. And what was the second one? Only one candidate?
No, we have candidate 3
No, that will tell you. Candidate 4 and
candidate 4 and 2.
okay. Then who are you guys picking?
Candidate 3 and 7.
Okay. Okay, and why?
Why? Okay, it's not a collective thing though. We need to, we have no time to analyze it. But some
Guys, you have 15 seconds right now to give us a final. 15 seconds. 15 seconds. The moment they come out to the front, you guys are done. 15 seconds is 10 counting.
let's go see the next one.
10 seconds.
Sorry, guys.
5 seconds. We're done. Okay.
Alright.
So what candidate did you pick?
Me, that's in 3 and 7. Okay, I'm gonna choose one out of this.
Yeah, no, 3 and 7.
We'll go with
No, it's the 2 they are picked.
Okay. Yes. So why now?
Yeah.
Okay. So we went for going with number 3, that's the 3 and 7. So we chose this person because starting with the school the person went to, the qualifications, the person went to law and better study that language arts. Now, so when we say language art, we believe this person can communicate, this person will be able to communicate and discuss with customers, talking with the first time because relationship is everything. If you can just discuss with the customer and convince the customer to buy something, then we're not the salesperson. So going further, we also saw that this person.
This is all candidate 3 was talking about.
Yeah, that's not candidate 3. And we
guys, in one house, now they listen to you.
So we went through the work experience and we figured that this person has worked at Junior as a salesperson. So this person has experience in sales. So if you combine the English language person studying and the experience the person has, it's a good combo.
The person's an extracurricular activity, the person's been a radio presenter, presented, has interviewed online personalities and musicians and so from the person's CV. So it shows that the person is an extrovert. It shows that the person can engage people in conversation. So yes, we don't know the person, we look at the qualification, we look at work experience, and we also look at the person's extracurricular activity, what they've added to their collective knowledge. That's why we choose that person.
Okay, and seven.
So other people choose, we chose this person.
So this
No, we're wrong, but we finished our talk.
So for candidate 7, we went for candidate 7 because one, this person went through way back ends, and because we know what we does. So we believe this person has gone through intensive training. The person has because
So relevant degree.
yes, with the degree, and also the experience again. This person has worked as a cashier also, and this actually stood out for us.
So
If you
relevant
worked
work
as a
experience.
cashier, yes, you know.
Okay.
Also,
Alright guys, thank you.
thank you.
I'm sorry, no, you didn't tell us what were the most important competencies you were looking for.
Okay.
The most important thing that you were looking for this person to really have, that you were using this as a way to judge for it.
Good communication skills.
Communication skills.
All those ones there, but I think I'll add arithmetic.
Yeah.
That's 6%.
We also
I'll add arithmetic to it, even though it's not there, but I'll add arithmetic.
I need someone who is goal oriented.
You can only pick two. What are the two most important ones? Do you all agree that one of the top two most important skills for your
Persuasive
is
skill.
communication?
Yes.
What is the second most essential? If you would only guarantee that the person has two things or these CVs that you are looking at.
Persuasive skills.
It's the same thing.
Persuasive. You have to sell.
Yeah.
So that to make money.
And so the fact that they been a cashier gave you some hints that they might have persuasive skills. The fact that they
You want?
they work in
Junior.
radio and communication or communication skills. Okay. Alright.
Thank you.
Okay.
So you answered the last part of the question.
I know where persons are not represented. Yeah, you're not allowed to represent. You're not allowed to represent. No. Like, how can we do that? We're now figuring the work. Who join him? No, not that.
Yeah. Looking for an admin role. Not very high, medium, supervisory kind of. That's what we're looking for.
And what are the most important competencies you're looking for?
Communication skill, computer literacy, interpersonal relationship skill, and problem solving.
Which are the two most important?
Okay, you said the two most important: communication and I think problem solving.
Problem solving, okay. Alright, so you pick which candidates?
We have 2 and 3.
I think 3 is the same one that you guys.
That is that 3. That's
the junior and
talks about.
And we all have the same set of CVs, yeah?
Oh,
yeah, everybody has the same.
I think I would like 3. So 3 and 2.
Mr. 2 has done some. Has done some administrative work before.
Okay, so relevant work experience,
Yes, and we realize that this person can also do some little accounting job, and because we're looking for somebody who can assist the CEO. Administrative.
How did you know that they could do some accounting work? Did they write accounting?
Yes.
They wrote skills accounting.
From the job that person has done before, he has done a little bit of
To
accounting.
be an administrative officer, you should know a little bit of accounting.
Okay, so that work experience is what is letting you know.
Yes, it's an additional advantage. The
This person has a BSc in business administration and accounting.
Okay.
As well.
Okay, so that degree, relevant degree.
Alright.
Okay, and then candidate 3?
Candidate 3 is this same Mr. Jumia. Jumia has we believe with our work experience has interpersonal relationship and good communication skills, because this person has worked has done some reporting with celebrities, radio shows, and so they will know how to speak English well, how to communicate well. And then with Jumia, working with Jumia, they must have solved a lot of problems. That person somebody who can solve problems. I know administrative work actually, to me, you can hire this kind of as long as that person has the ability or willingness to learn. Administrative work is not like technical that you need somebody who knows them. As long as this person has good communication skills, you can train that person and the person has the willingness to learn. Administrative work is something that I believe anybody at all, irrespective of your educational background, that you can do. But I think I worked with the software, external data farm, which was TB data entry. And I was working with the market research that had enter data or whatever question they had
And I interned for social in university, and I've also interned at Imagine House as a correspondent. I talk, I love making people happy. I love music a lot. I love everything here.
Thank you for that.
What we're trying to get out of the whole exercise is to know how we actually recruit and hire in our different organizations, and also to bring to you some other ways that we could apply that could be helpful and make our hiring processes easier and better. Okay, so I have some CVs here, and I found out that for the finance, we have like the most spectacular finance person in it, and nobody picked her. I don't know for it's I'm just sitting to. So I know we did someone talk about finance. I don't do anything with numbers. She does not like numbers, and that is her. So Miss Anne wouldn't do finance, and the person that is spectacular, we have Aisa too, and nobody picked her when it comes to numbers and every other thing. Maybe because her CV.
We didn't do finance.
No, so we had a team that did tech and finance.
No, we didn't.
So the other lady spoke about finance. Yes, that she would pick candidate 2 for finance, and candidate 2 is Soto. Study that. How well can you handle figures? Okay, please tell us how well can you handle figures, finance, how well?
I'm decent. I mean, I like numbers, but I don't all the documentation.
Exactly.
But I do like numbers.
Okay, so what we're just trying to say is that at times when we look at CVs, we don't really get the competencies of these people. Yes, it will show the work experiences, it will show the qualifications, it will show so many things that people want you to see, but you might not really get the in-depth knowledge of this person in that particular role that you want to fill. And so, that is, Sama was candidate 4. Candidate 4.
Our admin, as we review our looking for admin. This guy is
our best admin.
Has been leading our admin in our office
for close to 4 years.
Almost 4 years. And we didn't even pick
The other candidate
Candidate 4.
So
So maybe does that speak to
And she was picked for the technical,
to be able to craft their CVs in such a way that they will sell them?
Oh, now if you're in a situation where you cannot dictate what kind of CVs come to you.
Exactly.
You cannot craft it, you cannot write their CVs for them. Basically, this exercise just shows that what you see in black and white doesn't necessarily mean it's not actually the real fact.
And how she have recorded her CV? She put her experience,
Yes.
she put her academic pedigree. But the truth is, this other person that we said that has been leading our finance department for almost 2 years had not worked in finance before. But she had the competencies.
Did she include that?
She included competence in the city.
Did she include the competencies in the
Did any of you?
Can I say something?
Any of you?
We didn't actually look
competencies.
Actually look at
In all the things that you put on the board, like you were looking at, you said work experience, you said degrees, you said the time they spent on their previous employer, you said the pedigree, the type of school they went to, OAU, you said extracurricular activities. Not they listed these competencies.
Can I say something? Okay. Now I mentioned that I work with several clients.
Okay.
Now, there are times that even as a recruiter, you'll be the one that will advise the candidate. You know that this person has, looking at some of the things that are on the CV, this person has a fair match with what the client is looking for. So, but there are some aspects of the job description that are not captured in the CV. So sometimes as recruiters, we even advise the candidates and say, put this on your CV. Put this on your CV. Have you done this before? Yes, I've done it. Include it. Write it this way. Because the employer, the client, won't see you, doesn't know you. So your CV is your marketing tool. So if you apply, yes, so it's the first impression. It's very, very important. So that's why sometimes in employability skills training, I believe you do that well here. You know, so you have to be able to tailor your CV to the job you are applying for. Yes, so it's very, very important. I'm not a ghost, and I can't. It's what you tell me you do that I will work with, and it's even more difficult when you are working for third-party clients because they are very strict. Because the fact is, I'm paying you for this service. This is what I want. These are the specifics I'm looking for, and you have to get it.
But
so,
can I ask a question?
Yes.
So let's assume that I have a CV and I put all of the lovely things that you're looking for. How do you know that I actually can do this?
Then that's where competency-based hiring comes in.
Your competency-based hiring
comes in. Yes.
So you bring the person into your office and then you assess the person based on the skills that the person said.
Okay. There was a time I was recruiting for a graphic designer for a client. At some point, 2 candidates made it to the final stage. At a point, a candidate made it to the final stage, and they felt maybe this is the person I'm going to hire. But they put the person on the job, and they say, design this, do this, because they needed, I think, a very high level of expertise. And eventually, the person did not scale through. Of course, there is no way you can be so good as a recruiter. You have some purely unidentified recruitment error. So they call it pure. So there's no way you can be 100%. Yeah, there are times that you miss it at some point. But for candidates, you must be able to tailor your CV to what the employer is looking for. It's very, very key and important.
Okay. But Salma, let me use Salma for example now, actually had the technical things on her CV, and that was why she was called. Now, when she came in for the interview, the technical group, they said no, because they found out that she was more into hard and software, not software development, more of hardware and is it IT savvy? So probably the MS Office and all, and that is not what they are looking for. I don't know that we want to waste our time that recruiters having to just talk to so many people, sift through so many CVs, and then it's time consuming.
Yeah,
so if you really are into selection and recruitment, you know that you expend so much of energy and get very, very, very little result at the end of the day. So what kind of result do we want to get?
Sometimes we get points.
And even with some organizations, I found out that so my past organization would create assessments, I came into the organization and looked at the assessment and I said, how does the assessment assess me for what I'm coming in to do? So you give me GMAT, you give me some very technical English words. I speak English well, but this doesn't even add up. And at the end of the day, you lose. So I scored the lowest in the assessment, and I don't know how I got recruited. But out of all of the other candidates, I think it was a very, very bad score. But I was the best in terms of what can I do. And I was only given that chance because the recruiter just felt that, okay, she speaks really well, she was confident, let me just give her a try. I would have lost out totally on that job because of the competency-based assessment that were not streamlined towards the kind of roles that I'm coming there for. It's just like you saying that I want people to swim. I want everybody to swim. I'm not a fish. I'm an elephant. I can't swim.
So that kind of test is not competency-based. It just looks like it.
But
Because it's not aligning to the role.
Sorry, can I just answer it?
Okay, that's for, are you saying for the organization that you're talking about? Yes, so he was just giving general assessment. And he just believed for a certain level of, for you to be a staff organization, you have a certain IQ. And you must be able to pass this GMAT. That is it.
But, sorry, Nick, I think the point we're trying to make is you were group 2, right?
Yes.
You selected candidate 3 and 7 to invite them in for competency-based assessment, which is what the interview was. What we are saying is that in that pile of CVs there, you missed out on one of our best salespeople at Wave. You didn't call him in for the interview to assess his competencies because he didn't fit your bill on paper. Because you were looking for a relevant degree, you were looking for relevant work experience, you were looking for time spent on his previous employer, and the guy doesn't have a degree. And yet he's one of our best salespeople in our organization, and you would not have even invited him in to assess his competencies.
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing because, we also had a strict time there. So for me, and I think for everybody who was there, we were not really in details. We were not. So we missed out the major things that, and I can tell you that when you have 1,000 CVs, you will more often than not do the same. So the person who they say is a fantastic salesperson, which was what I was trying to say there. I've been a salesperson for years, but I can tell you something, that salespeople move from one place to another. So you can't really measure their what's it called? You can't really measure results because when they go to another place, they'll tell you, oh, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. When you bring them in, then you really know if they really did all those things. So like what you were saying, looking at it on black and white, it's just like we're just looking at it. We didn't even read the key things that would matter to us, what we said we were looking for. So I just feel that it's also another way to look at it, that we were saying their qualification, we were saying experience, we said, oh, she's interviewed radio people or she's been a radio presenter and all that. But we didn't read what she said her job functions were and what her achievements were.
Me, your response.
Yeah, well, he was there, he was my team.
You said we tailor our CVs, we're saying this is our CVs, we have tailored it the best we can. What can you do to make sure that you don't miss out on the top candidates that you have missed out on in that pile because you have the system that you use?
Okay. There are minimum expectations for any role. Now, if I'm hiring for a salesperson, and this is not an entry level role, this is like a mid-marketing executive. Now, I would be expecting to see some things that are related to sales, deliverables, results on the CV. Even if the person cannot articulate it well, but at least there should be some pointers to show that I've done this, this is what I've achieved, and these are the results. That's, so it's my point still remains that for candidates applying for jobs, you should be able to sell yourself well. Whatever you are doing in any role you are in, make sure that you try and sell it well to the employer. and to the recruiter. It's very, very important.
But in the case of
on paper,
now.
yes, on paper. That's the first stage. That is what will get you through the interview door.
Even though we have just admitted that what selling yourself well means is that you have the relevant work experience.
I don't want to, you know, we had it into actually, that was why I didn't think.
And I think we're addressing employers here now.
Yes.
People are the employer.
I didn't present because I had a kind of reservation. I had my reservations
Yes.
on the series. Yes,
What
on the
was the
series. Like the junior guy does not really have sales experience.
So you
He was a customer service person. There are different things. Now, currently I'm recruiting for an investment company. Now they're looking for a retail executive. Now they want somebody who has worked with money lending institutions like your Rent Money, One Credit, and all that. Now I got a lady. She's worked with your Rent Money. Now she was telling me on her CV, I think she wrote telemarketing, telesales. Now the interview is tomorrow. She was telling me emphatically that, see, I'm not a marketing person, no. I'm just like a customer service person. So now, when you take in that person or in your organization, it's a misfit. Because for her, she is not a customer, she's not an excellent customer-facing person that sits where, going out to look for the loans and the people that will take the facility and take the credit. She is a customer service person, even though in a money lending institution. So there are two different things. A junior service, somebody who has worked in junior as a customer service person might not be interested in marketing, but might also be interested in marketing.
For me, we're still on the same point of work experience.
Yes.
This guy whose CV you missed out on there has not done sales before.
Okay,
But he's an amazing salesperson.
Okay.
How could you have leveled the playing field to give him a chance to prove to you that he can sell umbrella on a hot sunny day? Or he can sell rain boots on a hot sunny day. That's how good he is. But you would never get to meet him because you are using this lens of, if you don't have work experience and you haven't done this thing before, that means you cannot do it.
Yeah.
I think he is one of our alumni here. Have you ever been a waiter before you went to Banana Island Patisserie and before you went to North Bayalara?
No, no.
He's never been a waiter before, and now he's a supervisor at the top restaurant in town. And he's amazing, and he'd never done it before, so his CV, you would have said no experience, no relevant experience, denied.
I just want to add here that it depends on the level you are recruiting for. They are recruiting for more like supervisory level. Definitely, you can't rule out this level. But when you are looking for an entry level, then you can leave it open. Like a waiter, if I want to.
He leads our HR. He leads a team of 36 people.
Yes,
He's never done it before. I've never been a CEO before. I've never led people before.
I understand. But seriously, if you are looking for a supervisor, if you do not have experience, I do not know how. I don't want to say I don't believe it, but seriously, I will recruit a lot of people that do not have experience. We do that a lot because yes, the next generation has to come from somewhere. If we do not bring in people that are fresh, then we don't have the next generation of areas. So definitely we need to bring in people, but not as a supervisor. I will bring you in, yes, you will have to start from the scratch. If you are not ready to start from the scratch, then sorry. So I know there's some positions that I will tell you the line managers or the managers will come and say, see, I don't want somebody to come here with their culture. Give me somebody clean. I want to teach from the scratch. That's different. But if you tell me I want a supervisor, I have to be sure that you can do it. I can't bring somebody that does not have experience. Because if I bring somebody, I'm not so sure that you can do it. I've not seen what you have done before. So if I'm bringing a supervisor, I must be able to tell whoever I'm hiring for that, come, this person has results. This person has done this. But if you want a trainee or somebody who will learn, I'm bringing in somebody, teach this person, it's different. And so maybe by the time I'm teaching you, I realize that, oh, this person is a high flyer. We have some, we showed you, there's a little, not little girl, a lady who came to my organization, and we wanted her for something. And after speaking to her, we were like, okay, that position was not vacant anymore by the time she came. But you see, we looked at her and said, this one is for keeps. My manager said, shall we look for somewhere? Keep her around. This one is for the future. Yes, we found some place and said, okay, just come here, come and manage the business center for us. And what we had, she's from Wales. Yes, she's from Wales, yes. She, like she said, she doesn't have the required BSc and HND that we are looking for. But we spoke to her, we saw something in her, and we said, we're going to keep this one. And we kept her. But the truth is, if we're looking for a supervisor, we won't call her. We're not looking for a supervisor. But she came, we spoke to her, we said, okay, stay, you will learn. And we know that she's going to be busy, and she's moving very fast. So in that kind of thing, start with a waiter. If I'm bringing in a waiter, I want somebody who is specialized. But then I know that I can start with you somewhere that you will learn. Because I have waiters already that you will learn from. But if I'm looking for a supervisor, I can't even convince the manager that this person can do something for you. So it's two things. It's good that we bring in new people, train for the next generation. But you have to start from the start.
Brother, I want you to weigh in. I know you have to do that. I want you to weigh in.
I 100% agree with her. There's some positions that require experience, and some you have to. I think you need to be good on CV. That's the first impression, and I always say that first impression lasts the most.
You cannot lie, you cannot say we have work experience and we don't.
Well, you can, but obviously when you come into for the interview, you would, definitely come out that you.
Okay, take for instance an existing organization and the CEO discovers that we have structures, we don't have processes, and you bring in an HR to come and do this. You can't put a green one.
Exactly.
You need to do somebody who has done it before.
Exactly, you can't.
Somebody who has experience. Now, but if it's an organization where it's a startup, there are 5 people, you can say you'll be doing admin, HR, finance, the person will be learning. You can also say I'm HR, but there are different HR is different from HR. If I'm recruiting for head of HR West Africa, for instance, so I need you to have worked with multinationals, have an understanding of how global HR works, because it's different. So you need to have some.
Sorry, can I just say something?
So
In real life, that example that you gave, somebody else has flawed it. So there's a friend of mine, she works in an organization and they have no HR. They're a new startup company, and the next thing the CEO said, can you be the HR person? You're going to be the one in charge of the payroll. You're going to be the one getting us what we can wear as uniform. They also client facing. And then she said, okay, no problem. Now what does she have? Readiness to learn, and to take up that challenge. She doesn't know anything about HR. And what did she do? She started equipping herself with some knowledge, asking questions. Until today, she hasn't gone on any HR course, and she's the only HR manager there. So what I'm just trying to say is that the dynamics are changing. Sometimes you may have some people with key competencies, and yes, in all fairness, you keep saying experience. But like I said earlier on, I'm a salesperson, and many people in my industry, we hop from financial institutions to other financial institutions, and we lie, so to speak. And then when you get there, you find your feet. At first, you want to prove a point. Then after a while, you start shaking and you start saying, well, where's the next place we need to go to?
For someone that started, I had a background in HR, but I started off with
studied industrial personnel?
Industrial relations and personnel, and that's what it's called in lab. But I started off with N5 as an intern because I didn't have any experience at all. So, but I didn't start off working in the HR team. I started off, just understanding what we do. I did a bit of project coordination, just working under the CEO Kendi. So that was how I now transitioned into this. So I was given the opportunity because obviously the CEO saw something in me. So I was given okay, yeah, she has a background, but she doesn't know anything. But yeah, let's see. So I started up, and I started also even reading up myself. I started reading up about more of HR related stuff. But and even just to touch on what she said, we just recently recruited someone that He's still actually in university, but he's very good. We saw the potentials in him. He's a design person, and we saw the potential, but he's still in school. But what we just did was we're like, okay, just know that you're with us, and when you're done, you can come to. But for now, he's more of an intern, so he comes in maybe twice a week, and we're paying him because sometimes he comes in and there's not much for him to do. But because we know that okay, this person is, we see the potential in him, we're willing to invest in that person. But I still believe that yes, for certain roles, we still need to see a bit of competency. So if you can't see it on your CV, because I don't know how if you don't see it on your CV, seriously, I don't know how if you don't see it on your CV, I don't know how we will know. On that, we won't know. We won't know.
Can I ask a question, please? So if I were to apply to your organization and I probably do not have all of the experiences that you need, but because looking at it from our own HR angle, most of us really look at experiences and qualifications as compared to competencies. But I list out the competencies that, if you have really sat down to think about this role, these are the competencies that are required to do this role effectively. If you see these competencies on my CV as a person, maybe I just do not have the experience, would you call me for that interview?
Are there results tied to those competencies?
There are no results. So probably I've worked in another.
If you say you have project management competence.
Yes.
For instance,
yes.
Anybody can write anything.
Okay, so let me put it this way. Now you want to hire for a human resource person. Let's just use an administrative person, right? And I worked as a customer service person, really not administrative, so I do not have experience in the administrative field. But I have the competencies that require to be an effective administrative person. You probably have seen my CV and seen other experiences in other fields that really do not even align to your. Would you call me based on?
How do you know you have those competencies?
So you have done strategy.
Okay, so
You don't have the credential.
No, not credential. How do you know you have those?
Everybody in her family tells her she knows how to.
Yes.
Okay, she knows. So there is a way you can capture it on your CV.
How?
Yes, there's a way.
How can the experiences that are being put up on the CV?
Okay.
How can when you have to even talk to someone and someone says, "Oh, tell me why I'm a very hardworking person. How do I know that you're hardworking?" That's the next question I'm going to ask you. So you have to now maybe give me related examples of how people down said, "Oh, my last place of work, I'm so spectacular and I'm so hardworking and I can work under pressure." You don't. It is just what I'm saying.
Can I give an example? Let's say I am the first born of 10 children.
Okay.
I have coordination skills. I have persuasion skills. I have time management skills because I've raised 9 siblings that have come behind me. Yet, on that CV, all I can write is problem solving, time management, persuasion skills, firstborn of 10 children. Because that is the only way I know that I have that. Me, would you call me in for that interview? Roland, would you call me in for it?
Well,
based on that CV.
now, it
I don't have
depends.
any formal credential. I'm
Yes.
not taking any exam. I'm not taking grades.
Not going to school. Oh.
I studied arts. Fine arts. They gave me botany. They gave me botany.
You have to. That's
Okay, so let's talk about another way. We talked about the challenge.
If you're coming in as a cleaner, you need to have something. I need to see something.
But one thing I just want to point out as we think about this thing is we all have innate talents. Every single person. We are innately good at something. So I can say that while you are interviewing, I was mentioning that any single person that knows me says I have OCD. Because and I've been like that from the day I was, at least since I can remember myself, things have to be in a certain way. Not because I learnt it anywhere, but that's just the way I am. I can literally say I was born like that. Like when chairs are scattered, I have to actually turn them to align like that. So if I'm your PA and you're looking for the neatest desk, I can probably put it neater than you can ever imagine. But I'm not going to go and put there straight OCD. Compliance. 101. But I can do it.
Brother, that's why the interview, but the point is he will not get the interview because he has not done PA work before. According to what we're saying, a good CV looks like, brother.
It hasn't done it before. So we will miss the things that
Thank you. So she has now opened it up there to you and she said, now what do we do? I have 100 CVs. I need to pick the best 5 to interview, and I don't want to miss out on the Somtos of the world and the ISAT, all the people that haven't done it before. Because guess what? From our survey, the average employer that's looking for an entry-level role requires 2 years or more of work experience. Entry-level, Shade, not manager, not supervisor. That's the average employer said for an entry-level role. Well, we surveyed 400 people.
That's not fair. But that's what they do. That's what they do.
I'm looking for 2 years or more of experience. Entry-level.
They want you to have 2 years. And only 2
years.
That's not fair.
So we're not talking about manager now. So now, what do we do? I have 100 CVs and I need to pick the best 5 to come and interview. How do I make sure that I get the best 5 who can actually do this job and not just the 5 who look good on paper?
Okay, so I would say, I would give like a short brief of how we do it at Wave, because now at Wave we do basically competencies over qualifications, and then we have some questions that we ask our employers. So it actually helps us to be able to streamline these people. Now, first things first, you want to fill a particular role. Since a whole lot of us using paper, face value, and all of that doesn't go in depth for us. Yes, we might get lucky once in a while, but we don't want to use luck anymore. What are the questions that we ask ourselves? What are let's just say the top 3, we will work with the top 3 competencies. What are the top 3 competencies that are required for this role? What are the top 3 competencies that will make this role, make the person that will work on this role extremely effective? If I want to hire for a sales representative, what am I looking for in that person? Secondly, you would ask, what are the top 3 tasks or top 3 roles and duties of this person on a day-to-day basis? So I want this person to ensure that this room is always clean, welcome guests, and all of that. Those are the things that will help you know what exactly it is that you want. Now, if you can clearly state these things down, then it will help start removing the excesses. I know that yes, for most of our CVs now, we don't have written competencies and all of that, but it will definitely help you streamline and limit the number of people that you're bringing in. So based on okay, yes. So it will help you streamline the kind of you knowing exactly what it is that you're looking for first of all. And then another question will be, why is this role really, really important to my organization? Why do we have to fill this role? If we don't fill this role, what will happen? That also shows that shows the level of importance of this role. If I don't fill it, what will happen? If I don't have a supervisor to supervise these people, what will happen? Basic questions we ask. Then we go further. Before we go further, yes, I know that for some people, since we are still working with the CV, if you have now gotten this set of people that you are looking for, since you can now decide to send these assessments, we have assessments, we can now decide to create assessment based on testing for what it is that we have aligned or we have written down. If I want to test for attention to details, how do I test for attention to details? You don't need to have some very spectacular assessment. You can sit and just think. So what is attention to detail? What does attention to detail mean to me? At Wave, how do we test for attention to details? We have a typing skill online. There's this typing test that you do. I've forgotten what it calls. So it shows your accuracy in typing. it shows your speed in typing. Now we have a whole lot of people that will type 60 words in a minute, and their accuracy level is 30. It shows how well you pay attention to things. Is it supposed to be a full stop? Is it supposed to be a comma? Is it supposed to be a capital letter? That is how we test attention to detail. Some people will type 37 words in a minute, but 100% accuracy. Now, for this particular role, what is the delicacy of this role? Would this person actually, that is already giving you, so you can have these people actually even do this assessment from home. You record in your results and then you can get it. So you're streamlining the number of people that you have to sit down with and then waste your time talking to. When they now come into your organization, you also have other assessments that you can now use to get the accurate requirements needed for that particular role.
Can I just give an example? So our first job that we get to hire for, maybe like one of our top early roles, I think maybe we had like 100 applicants. And so to the question of your card, yeah, we should make sure we exchange our details before we go.
I'm told you and I said that people come with their cards. You didn't tell me to.
So Roland, this is a quick answer before you leave. You can have 100 CVs and you're looking for something that is as simple or as hard to measure as persuasive skills. And what you guys just did here in person, there's a way to codify it so that 100 people can do it on their own and send you their answers, and you can grade the answers without having to grade each one. So there are survey tools where literally you can say, how would you sell this pen? A, B, C. A, I will tell the person that the pen is 24-hour wash. B, I will tell the person that the pen is the cheapest pen in the world. C, I will tell the person that the pen is just good. If the person says A, give them 5/10. If they said B, give them 4/10. If they say C, give them 3/10. You can codify the scoring so that you don't have to actually grade 100 answers. And you just send everybody that survey link. Do this assessment. When we want to hire somebody who trains in our academy, we need them to be organized. We give them an assessment that says, here are 24 things you need to do in the next 3 hours. How would you coordinate your time? And there's a codified answer. If they are able to put these 3 activities that are the most important, they should put them in the first hour. These ones that are least important, they should leave them out for tomorrow. These answers, they should put them here. You can codify the entire assessment so that you don't have to grade each one. So that when you get your answer, you now invite the people who have the highest score. That way you are actually inviting the highest coordination skills person to the interview. Not just somebody who has done coordination work before. Because I could just be a Somto who was born coordinated from the womb. And if you give me that assessment, regardless of my work experience or my lack thereof, regardless of my academic pedigree or my lack thereof, I can demonstrate to you in a simple and cost-effective way so that you don't have to spend more than 5 minutes looking at the answers and inviting the top 5, as opposed to saying, give me the top 5 CVs that went to OAU or Unilag. And then you will now have people that bought their degree or slept with somebody for their degree and then they cannot write English. So that is what we're trying to challenge, that there are actually very simple and cheap and scalable ways to screen massive amounts of candidates without having to leave the right people behind. And we didn't manage our time so well today, so we're sorry that we're just getting to the cocoa of why we're here. Because what we've just started talking about is the cocoa of why we are here. It is hard, but there is a better way. And so we may have to wrap up this particular part here because we just wanted Somto to at least share a few things that he has learned, or we have all learned, on how we now retain the good ones that are there, and how we slowly let go of fastly let go of the ones that are not so great. So I know you have to leave, but yes, we'll get your contact information so that we can share and probably invite you to a separate session just on how to retain your top talent. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Toluwani, anything you want to quickly add on?
No, it's you wrapped it up. I just wanted to let them know how that is not how how simple it is and how very, very accurate it is. Most of these assessments we get by even sitting down and just coming up with things on our own. Most of them are online and they are for free. And so it just makes it really saves you money and time, a whole lot of resources as compared to wasting a whole day trying to sit through a whole lot of CVs and then getting exhausted and feeling like the work is just over when we can just work.
And there's even something around from that 100 candidates that you send the assignment to. Guess what? 60 of them will not even do it. So you already weed through, just by sending the assessment, you weed through the people that are actually not that serious. And then you're now left with the 40.
Thank you.
Thank you very much to everyone. This is the end of the talk. Now you give us your.
Yes, we choose the wrong people for the job. And leaving the right people for the job and just tossing them aside. Like I was discussing with the other lady when I initially came in this morning. First, for me as a person, I look at the attitude. I'm not really about what you have, what your qualifications are. Like the book I read by Alex Morgan some years ago, it says, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about, I don't care about what your qualifications are if your attitude towards giving me the best is not just in you. So for me, I look at your attitude and time management, number one. I set an interview for 8 o'clock and you're coming by 7:30. It shows that definitely when we finally employ you, you would not be able to keep up to time. Yes, for me.
They came at 7:30.
That's for me. That's for me. I feel when you're supposed to resume 8 o'clock, max 7 o'clock, and how you should be on set, because that's how I'm being groomed. Yes. That's how I'm being groomed. I live in Magoro.
Wow.
Yes. And 6 o'clock every day I'm on set. Yes, 6 o'clock. Okay. So I built myself. Time management is very, very key. So, and I urge us all to also put this whenever we want to, in our dealing, because it says a lot about us, even personally, about how we carry ourselves, what the staff say about what we present ourselves. Because I can't set a time for 8 or maybe 9, and myself, I'm not on set. Like right now, I'm supposed to be interviewing 2 people right now, and I'm here. So for me,
she was here an hour before. She was here an hour before.
So it doesn't really say well. So I feel we should also have that too. In dealing with recruitment, we should also be mindful of time as well.
Thank you. Before you leave, we talk about paradigm change, and we all have these paradigms, the way we see, or anything that you're taking away.
Yes. For me, okay.
But at least it has to run to her interviews. Okay.
Yes. For me, right now, I've just learned that we should see beyond the CV. We should look more beyond the CV. It's not about, because most times when we want to recruit, what are your qualifications? What can you give? So we should look more beyond that. And we should just look more beyond the CV. It says, yes, we should look more beyond the CV. And if it's possible, like she has just given us the quota system on how to throw questions out so that you can recruit, like you can interview like 20 people, 100 people within a length period. So I guess with that, it would also give us the edge to know, okay, you with 10 questions, I can get 3 people that can give me that are accurate in time management. So in that, if all I need is a supervisor for my company, I know that okay, as a supervisor, you should set the table right yourself. You should be able to give me that time. If somebody is for 2 o'clock shift and the person is not there, you yourself, you should be able to balance it. So I guess we should be able to, as recruiters, we should be able to employ, we should be able to do more our personal self. So I think that we should look more beyond the CV. So that's all.
I'm glad. Because you know your employer is one of those employers that says, graduates. Don't tell me people that are not graduates. We are begged that we say, but man, this person can do it. You say no. Because people who are there who are graduates will not like the fact that they are not graduates.
Yes.
So I would challenge you to go back to her and try and change that paradigm as well.
We are on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
I always screen out people through more through smarter ways. I think that's one key takeaway for me.
Or screen them in.
Yeah, out or in.
Screen in the right people.
Yes, through assessment tests and all of that. So I think that's very key for me. So I mean, using measurable assessment methods to assess different competencies that are required for the role you are hiring for. I think that's very key for me. That's major.
And to your point around how do I validate that you have project management skills?
Yes,
if nobody
exactly.
externally who is a credible party has told me, I cannot just take your word for it. And that is the challenge that we face. People think, let's use a degree because at least I know OAU is not just dashing it out on the streets. I know that if you went to OAU, it means that you can do X, Y, Z.
Yes.
But how do we now start to embrace these newer ways to validate the skills that people have?
Yes.
And still save us time and resources, because that is the most important thing. We won't do it if it's expensive to do it, it's time consuming.
I think that's it.
And we'll be happy to share more of those ways with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
James, I know you have to run, so I wanted to just say a few quick words, either what you're taking away from today, anything, but we invited you here because you are an example of this story and why it's important to be more inclusive in our hiring.
Coming here is like my first time in a long while of being in the midst of being for wave training. And I wasn't sure exactly what to expect, but I certainly know that whenever waves are guys in the training, there is something strong, powerful to about. So that's why I decided to come around. And I have no regrets at all, because I just also understood more that I even as a supervisor, I still need to develop the skill, do not have the knowledge to be able to recruit very competent individuals to work with me, because that's the challenge that we have where I work right now. It's a big challenge, a huge challenge. People are being recruited, being let go every now and then, retaining staff, it's an issue. And so I think certainly my HR and would need some, this information. And definitely I would need it. And if I could, I would let them know that I should come around to get more of this information so that we can get the right people for the job. So definitely where we work, they know that qualification is not everything. Because I am a typical example of that. And I think they've come to trust that it's not everything. It's not just me. We have Gabriel, we have a couple of more other women, people, alumni, who don't have qualifications but have demonstrated that they are capable of doing the job and doing it excellently well. So I definitely, this has been beneficial to me, and I'm better off for it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, thanks so much.
Shade?
Well, for me, I've always actually known that I shouldn't base my approach just on educational qualification and experience. But the truth is, how to go about it Because really, if you don't sell yourself to me on your CV, how am I supposed to know what you have? But today, I know there are other ways of actually checking out skills or your competent level aside your CV. So I think it's a take home for me, and really, I would really like to do that. It's easier. It makes life even easier for me, and I know that at least I'm getting what I actually want. It's not like try and error. Okay, your CV says it's okay, and in 3 months you're not doing well, go. But with that, I know what your skills are.
The last person that left your organization that you hope didn't leave, and could you have done anything to stop it? Could you have done anything to change it? So,
when was the last time you lost a top performer?
Okay, alright. Well, I got hired September last year, and the person left sometime in October. So, he had actually been planning his exit before I even joined the organization.
Okay.
So, that was the only person that has exited.
Did you find out why he left?
Yeah, and better opportunities. Better. He's been here for like 3 years. And of course, there were some other issues that I may not be at liberty to share here, but I think he left. It's not something I can immediately address, yes, because I was new in the system and there have been some other issues that led up to that.
I've said really, we don't really have issues about retaining our staff. Our turnover is very low, but still, I believe maybe because of the industry. In fact, you realize that those ones that are very, very low, that those ones that have those little habits that they need to do away with, they're very, very good ones. And so when you have to let them go, it's very painful because really, knowing very well that to get that kind of hands is not so easy. But because you have zero tolerance to some stuff, they have to do. It's against the culture, it's against the system, so you must do. It's painful because really.
Some of the things that we have learned over the period of time and some of the things that become important, maybe touching a little bit on some of the challenges you talked about and also in also what Nii had mentioned and some of the challenges that he mentioned. I think that just from the conversation we've had, we understand how difficult it is to even find the right people to come into different organizations. It now becomes important to say, if I've gone through all of this work, competency-based hiring, all of the things I have done to find this right person, it now becomes important for us to keep them and ensure that they're staying. But beyond the fact that, and obviously, maybe as we go and have different companies, we begin to understand that that mentality of because I give you a paycheck is enough for you to stay in this organization as long as I'm paying you, right? What are the motivators? What do we do to motivate people to come into the world of work, to even start with? And I think that's very important because there's also a shift in millennials like myself and how long we want to stay on any job. Our parents stayed on their jobs for 20 years, 30 years, and they are comfortable. However, we change jobs ever so often. I think one of our colleagues shared the other day that a millennial in their lifetime, they will work at 7 different jobs. So you know that they're always going to constantly change. So part of the things that we do is, even from the very beginning, what are your motivating factors? Why do you even want this job? Is it money? Are you looking for an intellectual challenge? Are you looking for autonomy? What exactly is the reason why you have come to even get the job? And as difficult as it is, if you have selected right and you also turn it back to where you want your organization to grow, how do you begin to craft the right kind of opportunity for the person to excel? And we like to call that tour of duty. So you say that everybody that comes into your organization, I think the first thing is to bear in mind that the person is going to leave eventually, right? Because everybody's not, some people may stay the entire and ride out the organization until they're 65 and retire. But along the way, some people will also just decide, look, what motivated me when I started this job no longer motivates me, and I want to leave. But in the moments when they're there, how do we craft, like the military is saying they're going to Afghanistan, there's a duty they're going there, they're going there for 2 years, they're going to go and wipe out X, and after the moment they're done with that reason why they went there, then they come back to do, and they move into a different location. So when they come into the different organizations, what are they there for? Like, there are different competencies, there are different skills, the different things that you want them to do. How are you channeling that? I think you actually touched on this when you said, I saw the wave, I don't know her name, but I knew I had to keep her. And from the moment she came in, maybe you didn't realize it, but you actually crafted a tour of duty for her. This one has talents, I'm going to keep her. I don't have the right position now, so just hang around. But you have already created a path to promotion for her. But the next thing to have kept her, because she could have left in the 3 years that she was there, did she know? Did you continue to motivate her to say, look, yeah, so I mean, that's a plus because you actually did it. But how many organizations do that to say, I found this right talent, this is the path to promotion, this is the path to advancement here. Or you say you came in as a cleaner, 5 years down the line, you're still cleaning the same mops. Even if you're still doing the same job, has your capacity increased? Are you a better cleaner today than you were 5 years ago? Have I created more opportunities for you to say, oh, now I'm still a cleaner, but I'm now a supervisor to 10 cleaners. Or I'm still the same person who picks up the broom to do the same things. So motivating them along those lines become very, very, very important. And I mean, I think part of the things that the competency-based hiring helps us do is understand even what you're good at. And Nii had mentioned as HR professionals, you're always thinking, what is scale for this organization? What is growth? What are the next opportunities? So even if you understand that 2 years down the line, you're going to have opportunity as a finance person, you might be recruiting an admin person today who has finance skills. And I think you also talked about succession planning and how do I begin to use those opportunities to ensure that the person I've hired today, 2 years down the line, can get to that place. So I've talked about how we can use our different motivators, crafting tours of duty, but also like our performance reviews. To say, and I think a lot of organizations, when they think about performance reviews, everybody's, and it still happens that way, even though we try to change the mindset around that, people still look at performance reviews and say, oh, it's the time where I know if I'm going to get a raise, I'm going to get fired, or I'm going to be disciplined. But how do you use those opportunities to help people say, how do we get better? So at WAVE, we like to call it, how do we help you get an A? So yes, this is what, so we have biannual performance reviews. This is what your last 6 months have been like. What are your strengths? How do we build upon the things that you have done well? But how do we also help you redesign around the areas that you're still struggling or the areas where you need improvement? That in itself motivates people because you're not so focused on all the things that they are failing at. You're helping them say, you're exceptional at this, build upon this. And all of those things now give you opportunities to say, oh, you can become, because of your potential, you can become this. So how are you also crafting growth opportunities for them based on their performances? You know, so these are some of the different things that we can do using our performance review processes, which at least every organization to have to say, how do I help my people get better at the work that they do? Rather than how is it an opportunity for me to discipline and tell you all the wrong you've done in the last 6 months? How am I from day one understanding the things that motivate you? Money, most especially, but all the other different things. I mean, some of the other things that motivate young people. Some people just want meaning. They want to be able to come into a place and feel like the work that they do every single day means a lot to them. I mean, it's easier in some industries than others. Like as a WAVE, as we solve youth unemployment every single day, with an average age of 30 years old, we're all young people. So it's a pain that we can feel on a daily basis. So it's easy to craft meaning there. But maybe in the hospitality industry it's a little bit difficult. But how are people finding meaning in the work that they're doing? How are they getting better? So the next one is mastery. How am I getting better at my work? Am I getting better? I came in as a cleaner today, but I've learned how to use the vacuum tomorrow. The next day, I can now use an entire machine to clean up different places. So helping them get better at even, regardless of how little the work is, have I progressed? Also motivates people. So meaning, and membership. We've spent a lot of time talking about culture. Do I feel like I'm a part of something bigger than myself? Do I feel like a part of the team? Or do I have to come into work every day feeling like, oh yes, I'm coming to work with the same group of people every day? Or do I feel part of something bigger? So I think that there are different ways that we can constantly just motivate people, because it's difficult to get talent. So the moment we feel like we have gotten the right people, it now becomes our responsibility to ensure that we're motivating them every step of the way. Be it by ensuring that they understand the course by which they're going through. They are constantly being reviewed by whether they are team leads, by their supervisors, by their managers, however we call them in our different organizations, that they're constantly being reviewed, that they are aware of their performance and they are growing. Another thing, and Mr. had drawn the circle, but as I'm recognizing you, I'm rewarding the talent, and by then reinforcing that. How are we recognizing the people that do the work? Because if people don't feel recognized for the hard work that they do, eventually they will leave. If I find a better opportunity, then I will have to take it. Because for different reasons, people live for different things. After putting in blood, sweat, and tears, nobody even recognized me. Let me go and take more money, even though I don't relate to that. Maybe they will recognize me there, and at that point, let money be that which motivates me. So it's very, very important to constantly recognize our people and just keep them motivated. It's difficult work. I'm standing here talking. It's a constant challenge that we face even at Wave, but it's one that is necessary to sustain and grow any organization. Most especially because of where we're coming from. Finding talent is hard. So the moment we find the right talent, we have to make sure that we're doing every single thing, not I would say humanly possible, but every single thing that we can to make sure that we're retaining them, so that not only for organizational growth, but also so that the people that work with us can also be motivated. I will keep quiet for this. Answer any specific questions that we may have. Any questions? Yes.
You said something about what's that? Improvements, right? Mastery. Okay. So how do you retain people when you're giving them mastery means the person is getting better at what he's doing. As you get better, your options increase, right? If I'm a better speaker now, I have many more places wanting me to speak. So how do you still retain the talent even though you have improved the person's mastery?
I think different opportunities. So I can use myself as a case study. So I can say this is motivating to me. It's the first time Ruth had asked me to come and speak at the club meeting. I've never done this before, right? But when I started at Wave, I started as a trainer where I stood in front of people, stood in front of our alums and spoke to them. So I've gotten good at speaking to Wave trainees. I've gotten good, and now my scope of opportunity has expanded to come and speak to employers. I've never done this before. Would this motivate me to want to now learn how to speak more? So maybe, yes, we have 2 employers left now, and maybe we expand to 50 people, and they're like, oh, Santo, you did an amazing job at this point. Come and speak to 50 people. So it's always capturing the opportunities. First of all, it's understanding what the person has gotten good at, recognizing that the person has gotten good at that, and exploring the different other opportunities that exist for the person to capitalize on the strengths that they have built. I think that's the way you keep, because you get good at things and you become an expert at a certain thing, but I think there's always another level above that. So it may be speaking, like I use an example, it may be something completely different.
So let me reframe the question. I think you're correct, mastery, improving, expanding into other fields. But now, Wave has maybe developed you as a speaker and you're good now, motivation speaking. And another company now asks you, now you have people bidding for you because you are now better at what you do. Now, how does the company that, first of all, empowered you and gave you these skills, retain you? You understand? Do a better. You now have more suitors, you have more people looking for you. Because we're talking about retention here. How do they retain you, even though they have developed you?
I think was what he said. So he said, train your people such that other companies would want to take them, but treat them so well that they won't leave. So there is no way you can stop people from leaving your organization. Let me give you a practical example of what happened. When I was training one of the HR courses about the facilitator gave us this scenario about it's a company mentioned the company Wando. Now they trained 3 guys. They sent them to Jordan to go and learn some very scarce skills. When these 3 guys came back, they said, well, now that we've acquired these skills, our rating in the market has increased. So we need a salary raise. And it was the organization, it was the company who trained them, sponsored everything. But they came back and said, well, you need to increase our salary because those with this certification in the industry, this is how much they earn. Now, eventually, of course, that was like a spite to the management. And they said, okay, you can leave and all that. So they left. Eventually, but the role was very critical. Eventually, they were able to get one of them back. Now, that one says maybe he was being offered, for instance, 100,000 here, where he went to, they offered him 200,000, and then they said, sorry, I've been offered 200,000 there. I can't earn 200,000 again. You have to increase it. So, so that's how the workplace is. So you cannot stop people from living. I think as an employer, you just need to understand what motivates individuals. Say, for instance, you can't be generic, especially if they are very sensitive roles. Take, for instance, a woman, for instance, maybe who is very good and she's in a stage where maybe she's still giving birth and all of that, and she's a critical talent. So what are the things you can do to make her stay, for instance? So can you have family-friendly policies? Can you even customize those policies just for her to make it easier for her to be in your organization? So even if she's considering, even if she gets some other juicy offers, it will be very difficult for her to make the move. Let me also share a very practical example of what happened to me. There was a client who mandated me to recruit for them. Now, I had wanted a particular, because some of those roles are very scarce. You put the adverts out, you won't get any quality CVs. So I had to headhunt on LinkedIn. And I told this person, and the person said, well, thank you for this job opportunity, but I'm sorry, I can't leave my organization now. Why? He said, and it was very, very explicit. He said, well, he just lost his wife, and the support he got from his organization was so overwhelming. They stood by him, they did this, they did that it would be very wrong for him to jump ship. Now, and he made a particular statement. He said, no matter how wow he pays. You understand? So, and I was touched, and I said, I appreciate your loyalty and everything. And that was where we ended the conversation. So, those are retention strategies. I think for those very hard to fill roles and those critical roles, I think the employers might want to customize, the retention strategies for those particular people. Of course, you have to be careful of setting a precedence that will affect other employees. But there are always smart ways of making sure that you attend to the specific needs of those